So Manish Kumar asked me a question that whether it could be used for programming as well, backend programming. Yeah, Laravel could be used for backend programming, but I think it's still in the primary phase because Flutter is still being developed. So if you do large scale project or big project in Flutter using backend, so you might have problems. So I wouldn't suggest that if you're serious about programming and your client. So don't touch Flutter as backend because it's still not mature. But front end is fully matured, and I think that any kind of large scale app could be built, and we have built actually a few of them. So there is no doubt about mobile app or browser side or desktop app, but don't use it as backend because I think backend needs a lot of testing, debugging, because when it comes to a large app, it depends on actually the speed of the backend as well. A lot of the business logic is handled in backend. So I don't think it's mature, but it's. I know some people are working on it, so I think that's fine. So far, if you want to build dummy app, that's okay. All right. So over here, Sandip Shah, he has asked me that which is better, native or Flutter. But of course, native is native. I can't really compare this two directly. But here's the way I look at things. Okay, in general, if you ask me to build an app, I might go ahead just with Flutter, because using Flutter, I can build both front end and like mobile app side, Android and iOS at the same time, right? But if I do native, so I need to pick two different framework like Swift and Android itself. But I don't think anybody can master both of them in a short time. So if you have a client, they need an app which you need to deliver ASAP within short range of time, like a few months, 2 to 3 months, then definitely I would say go ahead with Flutter. And it's maintainable. If you do have apps in native framework, then you might end up having doing a lot of work actually, which I have done before. Like 10 years back when I didn't know much about React Native or Flutter, actually I built an app for my own business. I have other type of business, and then we did both using iOS and Android itself. But what turned out to be difficult later, maintenance, because every time you are giving an update, you have to give update both for iOS and Android, and which became painful. Not only that, it also became more costly. So I wouldn't suggest to go ahead with native app dev unless you work for those multinational large corporates. Like they might have their own code base, or they might just use for Android system, for iOS system. Now Manish Kumar, over here J2 Gamer is asking whether is Getx starting to die. No, Getx is not starting to die. I think this is a misconception that many people they talk about it, and I know because this is internet. Internet is a place for bullying each other. People do that because Getx is not going to die. Now let me explain this thing to you, because what Getx has achieved, it has achieved a lot more than BLoC or Riverpod in a very short period of time, and it made it easy, very easy for developers to work. And at the same time, because Getx has covered a lot of the features which other state management like Riverpod has recently started to cover. So Getx doesn't need a lot of update. People say Getx is going to die because it doesn't update, but you have to know that Getx doesn't need that many updates, okay? It has a lot of strong features. So that's why it doesn't need that many updates like Riverpod. I don't hate any of them, but because I have used Getx, BLoC, and Riverpod, even provider. So currently I'm actively using Getx, BLoC, and Riverpod in different projects as well as tutorials, so I know it. So it's not going to die. It's just your preference. If you're good with Getx, go with Getx. If you're good with BLoC, go with BLoC. If you're good with Riverpod, go with Riverpod. That's what I would say. Now, while I see that Manish Kumar has asked me another question, that what about Firebase? And many people say that it costs too much compared to others, so big companies use Firebase or not. Now, this is once again a comparison. If you're a small company and if you don't have many people, go with Firebase, because whatever the Firebase provides us, like services, notification, and a different kind of API like Map, Google Map, these services are difficult to implement on your own, because I don't think developers, I mean, we are common average developers. We don't do notification development. We don't do that because it's very costly, very time consuming, and even if you build one, it will take a lot of resources and the time. So same goes for building your own map API, because you already have a solution for that. Okay, so go ahead with Firebase or similar solution. It doesn't have to be Firebase, it could be any solution. But if you want to build your own mapping API, trust me, don't do that, because I have done this kind of thing before when I was younger, and that was my last done. So don't do that. Okay, go ahead, use services that's already mature. Okay, so big companies, they use Firebase, yes. And Shamesh Raj has asked me another questions, that how do I use a local model like Lima 2 and then calling it from OpenAI? So Shama Rajesh, no, we are not very familiar with this model, so I cannot talk about this right away. So I have to skip that, because the questions should be pretty much related to Flutter and related ecosystem. Now here I do see that my colleague is Dev, and he's answering to Shamesh Raz. Now, well, yes, you could do Hugging Face, because that's another cool AI model. Like my colleague, he's Dev, he's Android actually, he works with me. So yeah, he could give you an answer. Okay, so Hugging Face could be a good AI model that you can go ahead and use. All right. And Gamer, he's asking me that junior were to get something like, can you tell me the standard for? Okay, right. I think that you should be at least good with building UI. That's the first thing you have to be. Okay, you should be building your own UI. I mean, not copying. Okay, don't do that with Chat GPT. You should be proficient, efficient. Okay, once you're efficient, at least with building cool UI, I would say that you are junior. And once you're done with that, you may familiarize yourself with Firebase a little bit. If you know Firebase a lot and how to integrate into your app, that would make you actually kind of mid-level developer, and that would already be helping you getting jobs, because Firebase offers some cool API, and if you can use all of them efficiently, even say Firebase chat API, I know a lot of people that can't use it efficiently. If you can use the Firebase chat API efficiently and you can build a cool UI, then you are already a junior to mid-level developer, and that should be good enough to get a job. But the thing is that to get a job, you need to present your art. You need to present your artwork, that what you are building or what you have built before. Okay, so it should be good enough to get a job as a junior developer. And alongside, if you can pick up a framework like Laravel, that would definitely help you. Okay, or Python or anything in that matter. Okay, and then Anna Roy said, oh, well, you're welcome. Actually, I was about to check it tomorrow because I'm extremely busy. Now over here, Monsoon Season has asked me a question. So is Flutter heading toward Wise? Will it take over React Native? Now this answer is not going to make few people happy. Some of the people out there, they love React Native. Flutter is definitely going to take over React Native, because my background is React Native, as I said earlier. So the market is going toward that. Okay, now it looks like Flutter will take over React Native, but of course it depends on a lot of factors, but apparently it looks like. Okay, now React Native has a good support in a sense in this ecosystem, like it's JAS built. I mean, it's based on JavaScript. Now a lot of people, they use JavaScript for many different aspects, so this is where React Native is still hanging out there. But in terms of performance, UI, look and feel, and solutions, definitely Flutter beats React Native already. And because, as I said, that I was doing React Native, I switched to Flutter, and I found it's much easier. So Flutter programming, it becomes much easier because there are a lot of solutions out there. All right, is MySQL good choice along with Flutter? If you're a freelancer developer, then MySQL is a good choice. Okay, and I would say if you know MySQL very well, actually you'll see that switching into other scripting language, it would be very easy. So if you're starting with MySQL, definitely it's a good one. Okay, so if you're in Asia side, MySQL could get you a lot of job. Now over here, Manish Kumar has asked me another question: which features only Firebase database provide, not others? Now, one of the strongest feature of Firebase is you see notification and login. Okay, these are two the strongest features. There are others as well, but so far, because we have been using Firebase for so long, and we never found any problem or bug with Firebase. So I think notification and Google mapping as well, these are the two strongest features of Firebase. So when I know I'm ready for work, well, if you can build an app where you can build your cool UI as well as can do chatting on your own, I mean build a chatting system, I think you're ready for a job. All right, and then Demo asked me, indexed based better solution, Angular, React. Okay, well, these are all front end. Now Flutter is definitely for mobile app as well as currently it also works better in browser. React.js, once again, because in terms of performance, they don't come close to Flutter. So definitely Flutter stands number one. And I didn't use Angular, so I don't know much about it. So how do you manage time, family, coding at times under pressure, a lot of deadline? So this is from someone called, well, Anton Site. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Yes, I do have a pretty busy life. I run three businesses, so it keeps me pretty busy. So it's difficult, but then your partner, it matters that who you are married to, the mutual conversation, the conversation you guys have. So it's very important that your life partner plays a big role, that whether she's willing to give you so much time that you can have that builds everything, as well as it contributes to your family. So whatever you do, eventually it has to contribute to your family, right? Family is the first thing in a lot of sense. So I work hard, we do a lot of stuff, so family gets contribution from it. So that's why family members, they also matters because they encourage you. So if you're married, it's very important, right? So somehow you have to learn about time management, because the time management helps a lot. Okay, and then I have over here questions from someone called AA about Laravel. It seems to be common observation that PHP is not a language which will survive for a long time, especially well, I kind of back to defer, because PHP 7.2 and 8.2, they are actually doing pretty good. A lot of companies are coming back to PHP, and when we build solutions, actually we build solutions integrated with Firebase, PHP, Golang, because recently we have built an app where we have integrated PHP, Golang, and Firebase. Okay, now it is, people are saying that for a long time that PHP is going to die, but it's difficult, very difficult. Even though I would say that I'm a skilled developer, but I maintain my blog. I have two websites. One is the best tech, and there is learnflutter.co. Learnflutter.co, that's using PHP CMS. That's called WordPress. If it was not WordPress, I wouldn't go for building my second blog. Okay, so even if large companies, that stay away from PHP, but small companies, bloggers, their first go is always a PHP based solution. Okay, so I might agree with you that big companies might not eventually use PHP. It may happen, but small companies would always stick to it. Okay, and people like you and me, and freelancers, because I know Flutter, but I don't want to build a website that would take me a long time or difficult to maintain. So I would go ahead with this PHP based CMS service like WordPress, which is one-click installation. All right, and then Monsoon Season has asked me another question. I'm a fresh Flutter developer, but I was thinking of switching to cloud architecture. Should I stick to Flutter and advance it with your... Now, yeah, you should stick to Flutter. And what I would suggest, be good at one thing, okay? First, okay, if you try to be good at everything, it'll take you nowhere. But being good at Flutter, definitely it'll get you a lot of job. Now, people might say that there is ChatGPT, this and that, but for building complex architecture, ChatGPT is still a baby. Trust me, it's not going to work, at least in next 5 to 10 years. So, and in that sense, Flutter is the trend, at least based on the current vibe and the situation. So stick to it, and then if you can learn other skill like cloud architecture or things like that, go ahead with that. It may help you. Well, Manish Kumar, I feel like you have a lot of questions, so I'm going to ignore this one first because I think there are other people. Is there a proper way to handle paginated in Flutter with BLoC? Now, pagination doesn't really depend on BLoC actually. It's the whole architecture thing. Okay, so you want to retrieve more than 10 data per page, you still have to go ahead and create network requests. So it's not a BLoC thing, it's still how you develop your architecture. BLoC is just maintaining state, okay? Of course, if you make an API call and updating data, there is BLoC, but pagination is not a BLoC thing. So what is the best course that where I've learned your recommendation? Now, hi Joshua John, thanks for this question. Well, now because we also build a lot of courses, so we have built Getx course, Riverpod course, and BLoC course, including clean architecture course. So definitely, I would say my channel is the best. I'm not going to recommend others. So it's your preference that which one you are going to go ahead and start with, okay? Now, one thing I would say, because we built apps and tutorials both in Getx, BLoC, and Riverpod, so I do believe that we have more things to say about it than other people. Okay, all right. So that's, I would say, learn with us. Okay, okay. Now, if you use BLoC, currently we don't do yield anymore. This is Joyce Ultimate asked me. So it's mostly with the latest BLoC version. We go ahead with emit. We don't do it yield. All right. So Shandip Shah has asked me another question: Flutter, Node.js, Django, or Laravel? So that's a very interesting question. Okay. So what I tell you, look, if you already know Flutter, okay, know it very well. And then after that, if you already know Node.js, Django, or Laravel, if you know one of them, you keep learning that. But if you ask me that which one should be a preference for finding job, and now it depends. Like if you're in India or somewhere like that, Bangladesh, Nepal, Laravel is more preferred over any other system. But if you're in like Europe or America, Node.js or Django. So it depends on where you are. But if you do want to get a lot of freelancing job, Laravel is the way to go because it's easy, super easy to build things. Well, A asked me that what are my top 5 backend to work with your Flutter. I tried to Spring, but I felt like a nightmare. Okay. Yeah, Spring Boot, which I think you are trying to refer to Java framework. It could be difficult, very difficult. If you're a freelancer looking for a freelancing job, go ahead with Laravel and Flutter. And then you can slowly expand to Node.js or Django, because Laravel is super easy to learn, because backend, if you haven't done ever, it could be scary. So learn with something easy. All right. Then over here, Zahir has asked me a question. What a good choice. Riverpod, Getx for state management. Okay, so once again, if you already know Getx, go with Getx. If you already know Riverpod, go ahead with the Riverpod, okay? That's the first thing. Because master one thing. And then MySQL, MongoDB for database system. Once again, if you know any of them, go ahead with that one. Personally, I have used both MySQL and MongoDB, but now I would say that if you want to start a new one, go ahead with MongoDB, because MongoDB is very close to Firebase, so switching is easy, because I believe they're both NoSQL. All right. Okay, so here Nazmul Islam had asked me, which state management do I like most? Well, I like Getx. I mean, okay, I love Getx. That's true. And recently I'm starting to love more BLoC as well. So for me, Getx was the beginner thing. I mean, this is the one that I begin with. Then I learned BLoC and then Riverpod. So now I feel like Getx and BLoC, they're same. But they do, I mean, I would say same for me in terms of liking. Okay, but Getx makes development super easy, but BLoC makes state management super easy. Okay, so there are different things, I would say that. But I'm not going to hate anyone. I love Riverpod, I love Getx, I love BLoC, and recently I'm working with Riverpod, and I feel like Riverpod does, you know, provider to provider communication super easy. Okay, I mean, if you compare the BLoC, because the BLoC, you have to find your BLoC, that which BLoC you want to find and work on. It's kind of difficult, but Riverpod makes it super easy. Okay, now I'm not going to take more questions. I'm going to be done in a few minutes, and then I'll be alive again. So what clean architecture should I follow? Domain presentation, what should be the best to build complex X? So Saffron, yeah, this is the way to go. Data, domain, and presentation layer, maintain them. And then once you master clean architecture once, you love it. I mean, it's so easy to, you know, scale this apps using clean architecture. Okay, all right. Okay guys, so I gotta go, and I'll be back again in 10 minutes. I gotta finish this one first. I'm sorry, because there are a few questions. So if I didn't reply you guys, you may stay here for 10 minutes. I gotta finish this, and I'll be back again with another live session. Thank you.